Welcome to Drum Talk TV, insightful interviews in the world of drumming. Hosted by me, Dan Shinder. This interview is from the Master Educator Series, brought to you by The Drummer's Journal, an independent drum magazine. Visit them at www.thedrummersjournal.com. And by Drum Dial, tune your drums perfectly every time. And by exosphereradio.com, music with no boundaries. And by Kickport, bass drum acoustics maximizer. And by Drums, Drummers, and Drumming Facebook page. Today's guest is Juan Carlos Mendoza.
Hi everybody, this is Dan Shinder. You're watching Drum Talk TV. I've got a great guest today, but before I tell you who he is, you might recognize him. I mean, he's right there. But I want to tell you something about him. I'll tell you his name, and this is going to give it all away, but that's okay. His name is Juan. Juan's been playing drums for about 20 years. You will all either know him or know of him or know what he's accomplished recently. But what he's accomplished in his past is that he has really deep roots in music education, and music education as a grown-up is still a big part of his life, and we're going to talk about that with Juan. But Juan got his BA in music education in 2004. He's a classically trained musician on, drum set, hand percussion, marimba, my favorite instrument, the timpani drums. I love the timpani drums. If any of you know me, you know that. And he also went on and was able to get some great study time with some other great music educators like Pat Petrillo. And he's gone on to also do some great drum corps performing and competing and winning and things like that. Now, this young man took all these chops of 20 years of experience, and Juan Carlos Mendoza is your 2012 Guitar Center Drum Off champion. Welcome, Juan. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. I know you are getting slammed by all the media and everybody biting at the ankles, wanting to talk to you, get interviews and sound bites and all that. So I really appreciate you coming on Drum Talk TV with me to talk about, well, not just winning the drum off, but really about music and about music education and, of course, drumming.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. And I want to give props to Matt Patella right now, good friend of the program and an alum as far as a guest for hooking us up. That was really sweet. Thank you so much, Matt. And Juan is coming to us from Amboy, New Jersey. I'm here at the Drum Talk TV studios in Las Vegas. We're doing this online interview, and we'll have to do this. I'll say this even before the interview ends. We'll have to do this in person sometime. We can both sit down and blast some chops back and forth.
Yes, sir.
So the first thing I want to ask you is regarding the Guitar Center Drum Off competition. I judged the round that we had here in Las Vegas at the flagship store, and there's some really great talent that rolls through there. And kind of what went through my mind week after week is, man, they've got, I don't even know, I think 135 stores. Forgive me, Guitar Center, for not knowing off the top of my head, but with all those stores and all that talent rolling through, I thought from the beginning, wow, this is a big thing to win. So first I want to ask you an obvious question, which I try not to do a lot of, and then I'm going to ask you some other things. What was it like when you won, when you went all that way week after week, and then to your regionals, then you finally went to the nationals, went to Hollywood, and then you blow out your performance and you win? I mean, what was that like? Because I know you competed before.
It's relieving, to say the least, because I've tried it for so long, and I really, this year was going to be my last year, because I really did it because I needed some money, because I'm getting married and I wanted to get a house. Oh. So I said, you know what, let's give it a shot, and everything worked out. So I felt relieved that I don't have to do this anymore, because it's stiff, man. The competition is super stiff. Yeah. And as the rounds progress, it gets worse, like the stress level, you put so much pressure on yourself to win and, try to do better, and you don't know who's going to be coming up. So you have to be prepared. So I just felt relieved that it was done.
That's cool. You make another point, and I kind of mentioned this, that the competition is stiff. And folks, if you haven't been to a drum off event, It's a real eye-opener to understand how much talent there really is in the world as far as drummers. We all know who our influences are. We all have our favorites. We're all turned on to new people. And most of those new people, let's face it, they've got record deals, or they're big session cats, or they're doing tours with big acts. They're very high visibility. But there are a lot of guys and ladies that are working white-collar, blue-collar jobs, maybe even unemployed, that have world-class talent. I mean, even some of the people that didn't get past the first, second round at just the local level where I was, their talent was great. So to get as far as you did, man, props to you.
Thank you. And just kind of piggyback off of that, Aaron Spears was one of the guys that didn't make it out the first round. And look where he is now. He's touring with Usher and one of the biggest drum influences all over the world. So, there's a lot of talent out there.
Yeah, that's great. So let me ask you, what did you do to prepare? And it's kind of a two-part question. One, how did you prepare as far as coming up with, well, I was going to say the composition that you performed, but I guess first I should ask, did you use basically the same competition throughout each round, or was the championship round something you brewed up just for that?
I would say the first 3 rounds all the way up to the district, it was different. In the districts, what happened was we got hit by the storm here, by the hurricane. So,
Hurricane Sandy,
we lost,
right?
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy. So we lost light for about a good week and a half or so. And, our competition kept getting pushed back. So our districts were a week before regionals. So I was practicing my regional solo during the districts, thinking that, okay, I got to get past this district because next week is going to be regionals. So what I did was, in my district, I did my 3 minutes, and then what I did was I added 2 more minutes onto the district one for the regionals. So I didn't have to start all over again because I only had 1 week to prepare for it.
So you just basically revised your composition by adding onto it.
So I revised it, and then in the regionals, I played what I played in the finals, but it was dirty. I was still learning like motions and still kind of figuring things out. I was still tweaking it at that time. So when I went to the finals, all I had to do was work on performance, not on technical aspects or motor skills or any of that. It was just, all right, I want to perform, and that's it. I don't want to have to deal with, all right, what pad do I have to hit? What's the motion here, this and that. I was like, no, I just wanted to work on performance and make sure that I had that aspect of my solo, because that's one of the criteria you're getting judged on. So,
and does that go down to basically a grassroots level of thinking of what all drummers should concentrate on? I mean, there are different discussions, and we'll have some of these throughout the interview, but about, you got to learn to read, you got to know your rudiments, you got to know this, that, and the other thing. But when it comes down to it, when you work on your performance, don't a lot of the other things sort of take care of themselves?
I think it depends. It depends on how prepared you are. That's my thing. For instance, like if I went to the regionals unprepared, people are gonna know if I'm prepared or not. Like the judges know. Like I can even tell. Like you'll see a performer and you go, oh, he's making that up right now, right on the spot. So to me, it's more of a preparation. If you're prepared, then all those things line up. Then everything kind of flows together. But if you're not prepared, for the most part, most of the time, it does not work out in your favor.
Right. So you've done all the preparation, designing the composition and all of that. What were like the last fine-tuning steps? And I asked this question so that other drummers could perhaps apply this to their next studio session or their next gig they're going to have this coming weekend or whatever. What are some of the things you did at the last minute, knowing that, okay, I'm at the finals now, this is the last chance I have to do this and do it the best I can? What did you do to ensure that?
For me, what I did was I recorded myself every day, and I wanted to see exactly what my motions were, what my facial features were.
So video, you recorded video to analyze yourself on video like a sports team would.
Exactly. I did all that. And then I would send it to my friends that I can trust, that were musicians, but non-musicians as well. I didn't want to just deal with just the musician side because there was going to be, I had to win the general public. So I sent it to my friends that had no clue about drumming, and like, do you think this is cool? And they were like, yeah, or no, this doesn't work or whatever. And I took that into consideration.
Good. And I give you props for being wise, not just in your fastidious preparation, but having an open mind. This was about, you were looking for some constructive criticism simply so you could get better and do a better job at that final performance, and it paid off.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So thank God it paid off.
Great. Well, let's show a little excerpt. I'm not going to show the whole thing because this is a Guitar Center TV property, and I want them to be able to take advantage of my audience being able to go and watch the full video through their YouTube channel. That's the right thing to do. But here's an excerpt from Juan's winning performance. And as I start to roll this, Juan, describe the setup that you're playing as this starts rolling in. Go ahead.
So I'm playing a Tama white kit, and the toms are really far apart. So that's another thing we could talk about. I didn't have enough time to set everything up. So when my 5 minutes were done, you'll see the toms really far apart. That's not how I normally play, but I had to deal with those circumstances. So that's pretty much it. And then I had some Sabian cymbals. It just had a crash, ride, another crash, and then I used a splash cymbal on the snare drum.
But you have another element there that you use to bring in some beautiful melodics as well.
Oh yeah, I had the Roland Octopad, which is an awesome tool. It takes a little time to get used to manipulate all the sounds, but that tool is awesome. I'm a fan of it, so you know, some people are not, but I'm definitely a fan of that Octopad. It brings music to the actual solo, so it sounds like a composition.
That's great. Let's watch a little bit more of this excerpt from Juan's winning performance here at the Guitar Center Drum Off 2012. Yeah, that was fabulous. I've watched the whole thing. I'm excited for everybody else to go to Guitar Center's YouTube channel and watch the whole thing. You could also look up Juan Carlos Mendoza, go to his YouTube channel. You'll see some other things by him. But I want to totally shift gears right now and talk about music education. Now, obviously, music had such a big impact on your life that you ended up, as I mentioned in the intro, getting a BA in music education in 2004. Do you think you would have become a teacher in life if music wasn't part of your life? Or was it that music meant so much to your life that you decided, I want to get a BA in music education and pass these things on as a teacher?
If I wasn't in music, I don't think I would have become a teacher. Just because I had great band directors, and I saw what they were able to do with the students, you know, like seeing them progress so much and having a student not think that they're able to do something, and then months later, all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, this was easy. You know, it took a little bit of time, a little bit of work and effort, but the smiles at the end for me, it gets me all the time, you know? So I was like, I want to do that. I want to influence these kids in a positive way and just be a role model in that aspect, you know? Like the band directors were always looked at as cool people, you know, like all the cool teachers, they always wanted to go, let's go to the band room and hang out, you know? So I was like, you know what? You know, so I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be that cool teacher, like, you know, where I was influencing kids and they always wanted to be around me. So, yeah.
Now, what exactly do you teach? Do you teach concert band, orchestra, drumline? What age groups? Tell us a little bit about where you fit into the spectrum.
Okay, so I started in the high school. So I was like 22 when I graduated, and then I started high school. So I was teaching drumline, I was teaching marching band, concert band, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. Wow. Yeah. So then I was there for 6 years, and then the middle school band director was leaving. So I transferred down to the middle school band director position. So now that's where I am. So I teach from grades 5 through 8. So I taught flute, clarinet, you know, trumpet, alto saxophone, tenor sax, all the standard band instruments. We also teach mallet percussion, timpani, all the concert percussion stuff. And I'm also working with the high school marching band again. I'm starting to work with the drum line, just trying to get some things happening again and working on foundational things. So
it was voluntary that you went from the high school level to the middle school level. If you don't mind me asking, what was the attraction to do that?
I think when I was at the high school level, teaching the high school level, the students didn't have a really good foundation. So I've always been a stickler with that. So I went down to the middle school so I can teach. I like starting kids from scratch. because then you can kind of mold them to the way you want them to, and you can actually teach them like the foundation and the practical purposes of your instrument and technique and all that. That's what I wanted to do.
Great. Switching gears again, how, other than the obvious, I mean, and hopefully there's another answer besides the obvious, but
Okay.
how did all your years of experience competing in drum corps and learning how to properly play in drum corps, how did that affect all your other drumming skills? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I totally understand. I think people get caught up with rudimental drumming that it's really stiff, but it really isn't. Like when I did drum corps, I had a guy, Robbie Robinson, who was like a DCI, champion for 3 years. Like the guy was amazing, and he had amazing swing when he played. So that kind of transferred into like all the concert band things. Like for instance, I already had a pretty good buzz roll because of drum corps. I knew what pulsations to play. I didn't have to play, 16 note pulsations either. I was learning like quintuplets, sextuplets, all that. And I was transferring that stuff into my snare drum playing in concert band. But then it also worked out in the marimba setting because I had the chops to do laterals pretty quickly, so
Right.
I think everything worked out. It wasn't this stiff thing. Plus, on top of that, I worked on so much foundational things at drum corps that when I came to a book, I can read the things really quickly and not have to worry about, okay, what do I have to do? Do I have to do a pull-out stroke? Do I have to do an upstroke? My technique was already there. So I think drum corps definitely helped me out. Plus, on top of that, it showed me to be on time. I had to be on time everywhere I had to be. I had to make sure I knew my music. It had to be memorized. I had to learn my drill. So it's just, besides music, it just showed me so much of how to actually function in this world.
That's great. It built a lot of discipline within you, right?
Big time, big time.
Well, and the one thing I've never understood is a drummer being late for an appointment or practice or a gig. Or how can a drummer be late? You're the drummer.
Yeah.
How do drummers be? Will someone answer this? Please, how does a drummer be late? Seriously, that's just nuts.
And you have the most gear to set up, so you have to be there early. So I don't get it either. Pet peeves. I can't stand it.
And even if you got a tech to set up your stuff, the nature of what you do is timing. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
That is true.
That's funny. Tell you what, let's drop in implied metric modulation. This is Carlos, and we're just going to show an excerpt of this, but basically what this is this is a lesson on showing you how to do 3/16 over 4/4. And what I love about it is not just how great it sounds and how great you play in it, but how simply you explain the lesson. I'm going to show just a little bit of the lesson, but then I'm going to show some of the montage of you applying it to the drum kit. Check this out, implied metric modulation with Juan Carlos Mendoza.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to accent every third 16th note. So what I'm doing is this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1 again, 2 again, 3 again. So here's another way of counting it. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now that we explained what metric modulation is and what 3/16 is, now let's apply it to the drum set.
So what was your biggest motivation to put that video together? And I ask because what I gather from that is that there's a lot of limb independence, there's the polyrhythms. I mean, anytime you play one time over another, a lot of people don't understand that concept, but you do a beautiful way of articulating in the lesson, well, this is what it is and this is how you do it. What was your motivation to produce that particular video?
I get a lot of questions on independence and how we can make independence musical and practical. I think like nowadays, like people get caught up in like, let me play 5 over 8 and 7 and this and that, but it's not practical most of the time. So I wanted to do something that was practical, that you can use on a gig if you needed to, but obviously you needed to have some strong musicians that have strong foundational principles. But a lot of people were asking me, how do you think outside the box? So that's how I kind of came up with that concept. I said, all right, let me show one way of going outside the box, but giving an illusion, really, because you're not really going outside the box. It's an illusion. So that's what I did.
You did a beautiful job, as I mentioned, articulating it. So that's great. Folks, got to look up that lesson, Implied Metric Modulation. It sounds so scientific, but Juan breaks it down and makes it so simple. Okay, so there's another video that I'd like to show everybody, Juan, and it's the video you did of Sixen. And what I like about this is it's very fluid, relaxed motion, and I like the Latin feel, of course, that it has. And I love this because it demonstrates the fact that you mentioned earlier, everyone thinks that drum corps, drum line, marching band, and rudimental drumming is very stiff and tight. Well, if you could take all those experiences and then make this video and play as relaxed and fluidly as you appear, that's a great explanation. So let's watch it first and then I'll have you talk about it.
C'est comme un jour de soleil, notre histoire sonne comme un conseil. On n'a pas toujours eu ce qu'on possède, c'est pour nous fêter que le soleil se lève. L'espoir c'est comme un jour de soleil.
About the drumming and the technique in that video and how others can use it to apply to their drumming regardless of the styles that they play.
For me, my biggest thing was my influences were like Dave Weckl, and then seeing Dave Weckl and his fluidity always was something that I always wanted to look like. And I already had the chops, and but I wanted to get some more fluidity in it. And what happens is when you're more fluid, that the music you're actually feels and your groove actually like just take a different approach. They have a different feel than if you're just using wrist and you're being really technical about it. What happens is the motion is actually helping you with your timing and making sure that your timing is more consistent. So with the Sixen video, what I wanted to do, because it's more of a like a funk groove, was incorporate ghost notes, but if I was really stiff about it, the whole approach would sound super stiff. So what I did was I used a lot of arm motion, and every time I do a fill, I always try to lift so that when I hit the crash cymbal, I get a fuller sound. I'm not banging on the cymbal. What I'm doing is I go through it, but lift up so I can get a bigger.
So you can get a bigger sound.
Yeah, so I can get a bigger sound without using so much energy,
Right. Right.
So.
That's great. That's great. Hey, last question I want to ask you is, a little bird told me that, and if this isn't something we can talk about, let me know, but a little bird told me that you're working on sort of getting an infusion of percussion instruments for the school or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to work some stuff out. Like I did the drum off, and I wanted the money, but like for me with the endorsements, the whole thing with the endorsements was let me hook up my kids at school, because we don't have a lot of money at the school. So with the endorsements, at least I can kind of help them out a little bit, even if they get a little bit of a discount, whatever. And I've been so blessed with like the companies that I endorse, that they've been really nice to me. So like if I need something, especially if it has to do with my students, they'll usually, hook me up. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to get some new marching drums, trying to get some new, percussion instruments, especially for the concert band stuff, because we're having a concert soon, like in May. So we got to get some, some hand drums and stuff like that happening. So.
Okay, so I have a bonus last question, if that's okay.
Of course.
So you're a musician full-time.
Uh-huh.
You're an educator full-time. So you're an educating musician full-time. But you just won the drum off. What do you do after that? Are you in a band? Are you going to write books about drumming? What's in your future?
Gotcha. It's funny because everybody asks me if I'm going on tour. Like my principal's like, "Are you leaving the school?" This and that. Yeah, it's crazy. But for me, I didn't do drum off so I can get on tour. So I'm gonna write a couple books. I'm in the process of getting a trio happening, which is gonna be really cool. I got some really good players, and then I'm going to do some online lessons as well. So I'll be doing a lot of online stuff. And I just want to share. I've never been that kind of guy that, if somebody asked me a question, like, I didn't want to say, well, I just do it, and wasn't able to explain it. That's why I kind of got into this whole music education thing too. I got tired of going to clinics and asking these guys, like, hey, how'd you do that? And, their response was, oh, I just do it. I don't know. I didn't like that response.
Right. Right. It doesn't teach you much when that's the response.
One-on-one feedback, so it's not just like, all right, here's a video, look at the video, and, that's it. It's like, no, here's a video. You send me a video back. I want to see what you've been working on, and I want to see what your progress is so that I can help you out. So that's my goal.
Right. That's great. And the kids must dig it. I mean, their band teacher won the freaking Guitar Center 2012 drum off. How cool are they?
Oh, man. They're everything. Like, not for nothing. Those kids I don't have biological kids, but those are my kids. And it's crazy. I felt like a superstar when I got back from California. It was just nuts. They were like, yeah! They went nuts. They made me a video, and it was crazy. So
was there like a parade with confetti?
No, not yet. But they honored me at the board meeting and all that, and man, it's just been great. The great part was I got to talk to students that I would normally would not talk to. Like, they wouldn't talk to me, so they'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Mendoza, congratulations," and this and that, and I'm like, "Wow, this is crazy," So yeah. I got to meet a lot of students that I normally didn't talk to or never seen before. So right. It was a great opportunity.
That's great opportunity. Well, enjoy the ride. And I really love and appreciate and respect the fact that you're taking this ride and you're getting the most out of it, not just for yourself personally, but for the things you believe in and stand for and what your livelihood is. And that's for teaching music education to youngsters. I mean, it's great that you're channeling that whole experience into that. Well, other than buying the house and getting married, of course. But that's all part of the big picture,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But that's fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on. And folks, if you want to check out everything that Juan is doing, that Juan has done, and to keep up to date with what he's going to do, all his information is right there on the screen. Take it down, check it out, friend him on Facebook if there's any room left. Check out the YouTube channel and help blow up the numbers. And most importantly, be inspired and learn something that will affect your drumming. And that's what this interview is all about. That's what all the Drum Talk TV interviews are all about. Not all lessons happen from behind a drum kit or at a practice pad. Many lessons happen simply from having discussions like this and learning from each other's perspectives based on their unique experiences. And Juan, we really appreciate you coming on Drum Talk TV and sharing yours with us and the audience.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me, Dan Shinder, here with Juan Carlos Mendoza here on Drum Talk TV. See ya. Thanks.